Hello, friends, and welcome to Worldbuilding and Chill, episode number 3. And today I'm very pleased to be bringing you an interview with Casey from D&D Speak on Instagram. And he is just a wonderful creator. He's got so many kind of creative, quirky ideas of things that you can integrate into any story, but I think they're specifically designed for Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. And I'm very excited to kind of talk to him and see what his method of creation, how he comes up with all these crazy ideas. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking to me. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, of course. I know. No, it's so nice to meet you in person finally.
I'm very excited.
Well, sort of person.
Yeah, digitally. I would shake your hand in a very
digitally.
way.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, so thanks so much for coming and talking to me about your wondrous kind of D&D creations. I must say, I'm very impressed at how many ideas you have. Like the consistency with which you post really creative, innovative ideas is pretty incredible. So
thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
So could we start off kind of like by talking about how you got into D&D, how long have you been playing, and what kind of gave you the idea that you would want to start posting these things kind of in a social media context?
Oh, of course. So when I was really young, I was probably 8 or 9, maybe. My dad was really big into first edition D&D. And I remember coming across one of his books once, and I saw like the cover. I think it was the monster manual from the first edition. And I was looking at it and I was like, wow, what is this? Like, this is so cool. And yeah, exactly. And he was like, all right, I'll show you what this is tonight. Give me some time. And that night he had created like a mini campaign for me to run through, just me, like when I was young, and it stuck with me like ever since then. And it had always been such like a big part of my life. And then I think it was I didn't actually start playing with other people until I think my first year of college. I had some roommates that were also kind of into it, and none of them wanted to DM, so I was like, I'll try it, I'll give it a shot, and I've been DM ever since. So it's
you've never gone back.
So I've been exactly. So I've been playing for probably, I think, like 8 years now, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. Wow, that's a long
time.
Yeah,
but it's so much fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, that's really cute. That story of your dad like creating the campaign for you to like that sparked your enthusiasm. Like it's great that he saw.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was because I had no idea like you could even do anything like that. Like it was so much fun.
And it's nice that you could share that with him as well. Like I think there's a lot of parents now introducing their kids to D&D because their parents kind of showed them the way, showed them the light.
Exactly.
It's nice that you can share that, because being creative and imaginative in the same space as anyone, I think is quite a bonding experience. So that's
it is.
I have story.
No, thank you. I have 5 younger siblings too. I'm the oldest. Wow. And they're all starting to kind of get into it too. So when I go back for like Christmas or like, you know, Thanksgiving or something, they're always like, can we play? So like I'll put together like a little thing for them sometime. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's really a whole family affair.
Exactly, it really is.
I'm sure that Christmases are interesting if you're all like fighting trolls around the Christmas tree.
Exactly, like yeah, by the light of like the Christmas tree. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really great. So can you talk to us about how you kind of come up with all of these ideas? How do you generate all your ideas? Like, do you have any particular sources of inspiration? Do you kind of go outside, have a look at people around you and take inspiration from there, or online sources?
Yes. So before the D&D Speak website was even a thing, before I even knew I was going to make a website, I started the subreddit D100.
Okay.
So and I kind of use that as like the community kind of would post a topic, like for example, like 100 forest encounters. Somebody would come onto the subreddit and be like, I need 100 encounters that people could use when they, go into the woods. And people would comment, and then whatever comments they liked and like approved or whatever, they would put like as part of their D100 list.
Yeah.
And the subreddit started getting, we have finished probably 50 or 60 lists, and people were kind of having trouble finding them, like, without having to go back through like Reddit, like search features. Exactly. so I thought that maybe I'd make like, yeah, exactly. So I decided to make like the website as kind of a almost like an archive, sort of. So I would take all the finished lists that the subreddit would make, and I would put them on this website just for everybody to have. And then as time went on, I started making more and more of my own D100 lists to put on there, and then it kind of grew from there. It kind of turned into like the Instagram account.
Yeah.
And yeah, but most like that's how it got started. And some of the ideas when I can't when I don't have time or can't think of some of my own, I'll go back to some of the previous lists that we had all created together and get a lot of inspiration from those.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like a very collaborative effort. I think certainly it's great when you have a community and you can post. I mean, it's the same for cartography and maps. If you post something, people be like, "Oh, have you tried this? Oh, and what about that?" Like, I think ideas like that, they kind of excel when there's lots of minds thinking about it at the same time.
Oh, exactly.
It's like a hive
exactly.
mind.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was so impressed with your work, is because you're literally creating entire worlds, like entire maps. Like that's so amazing to me. Like, and plus you've got the artistic skills to do it. It's really impressive.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. It's really fun. I love doing it. And I think it kind of like works well hand in hand with the stuff that you're creating as well. So kind of, can you talk to us using your ideas or like the list that you post or other things? Can you kind of tell us what you think the pros and cons could be of creating your own kind of homebrew setting for D&D, as opposed to using one of the kind of like preset well-known manuals? And what's your personal preference as a DM?
So, yeah, absolutely. So some of the pros that I would say for creating your own homebrew world is just that, is you have 100% control, like of every aspect of the world, and that what your players like. Like my players like a lot of almost like Lovecraft inspired things, like kind of like cosmic horror type things. So I like to have those kinds of things in my world, but that's not really something you would prevalently find in the Forgotten Realms or something like that. So so you can create every aspect of it, but that also kind of leads into a con for it, is that it is a lot of work to create everything yourself. Absolutely. It is so much work, and that's kind of something that I really like to do. Is I would take like a map, like I would create them like a map myself, or find inspiration online.
Yeah.
And I would start filling it with like modules that I really enjoy, like already pre-published modules. And maybe I'll change the theme a little bit. Like I'll use like their maps and their ideas, exactly, but maybe I'll change like, a deity's name, or like some adventure hooks to lead to it.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite ways to kind of to run my games, is to have like a region or like a hex map that I've made that is filled with I guess ideas from my favorite publications.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not doing 100% of the work.
Running? Sorry?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say, how many games are you currently running?
Just one. Just one.
The one. It made it sound like hundreds of games.
Gosh, no, just one. Yeah, we meet once a week and we play for, probably 5 or 6 hours. So it's really nice to have that kind of consistent game.
Yeah. Is it a long running campaign or is it fairly
Oh
new?
yeah. We've been playing for I think about 3 years.
Wow, that's a pretty
Yep.
long
So
running
on
campaign.
this, we've went through a couple iterations of characters, but it's
That's
always
always
been the
painful
same.
when your first character dies.
Oh, I know it. It's so
Was there
painful.
tears?
Exactly.
Shed a tear.
Yeah, this pour one out for all the fallen fantasy characters.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting that you use like a combination of the two things. Like you've obviously created your own kind of like map space, but then you've kind of pulled in different like modules and inspirations from that. I think is a good
Mm-hmm.
like a good way to make old stuff new organically.
Exactly.
And I think as you play as well, it kind of like, again, it's the same as the lists. Once your players kind of like think, oh, like maybe this is going to happen or this is going to happen. And then you as the DM kind of spark off of that. It's a kind of good
Exactly.
a good dynamic for that. So how do you keep track of all of your ideas, whether that be for the Instagram or for your own campaigns? Do you have any kind of like, it's called Wild Anvil or Trello or any of those kind of things to keep your
yeah,
thoughts
absolutely.
in order?
So I actually use what is it? Oh, OneNote. I use OneNote a lot. So I'll have like different categories for like this is forest list, this is Feywild list, this is ocean list, things like that. And under those I'll have like little subcategories of like if I did the Feywild, for example, we could have like different types of creatures or things that could happen or like bargains they would make and like contracts, things like that. And a lot of them are unfinished, so whenever like I'll be like driving or like at work or something, and I'll start thinking of some of those, I'll obviously not when I'm driving, but I'll go on my phone. Exactly. I'll go, I'll be able to like pull up OneNote on my phone real quick and just plug in a few of the answers that I've been thinking about. And so so OneNote is a big one. When I'm running my games myself, I like to use Roll20 a lot.
Okay.
Roll20 is it's a godsend. It's so much fun. Let's see, what else do I use? I like to use OneNote for organization, but I think I also have a notebook, just like an old paper notebook that
I was gonna say, like,
one of those old things.
Oh. Oh, sorry, my camera delayed there. I was like,
oh, no problem. No, all good.
No, I was gonna say, when you're behind the DM screen, have you got like a tablet or are you using like a traditional notebook, the good old fashioned way?
I've got both. I've got a like a laptop and then my notebook. The laptop is just purely for how we normally play is we kind of have like a TV screen set up. So I'll have Roll20 on my computer, and it's also being projected onto the TV for them to see, like the player view from it. So they can we'll have like battle maps and like the overworld map and stuff up there while we're playing. But I'll be able to kind of control all that from behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I want to come and play your game,
really
please.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
And like, do you ever use kind of like props, and like ambient music and that kind of stuff? Are you a fan of playlists?
Ambient music, we have me and one of my friends that play with us. We have kind of a collaborative music like playlists on Spotify that we'll play. So I kind of have them situated for different situations. Like I'll have like a mystery themed or mysterious themed, and if something's kind of happening, or like triumphant theme, or creepy theme. And so whenever like a situation arises, you can just press like play a random song from this category, and it'll just pick like and they always like it's crazy how music enhances the game so much.
Yeah, I was about to say, like how do you?
It makes it so much better.
The change, like when you're playing a certain song, you're like,
oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I can just imagine all your players like they just say, da-da. Oh no.
Exactly. Like sometimes it'll be like they have like the Skyrim soundtrack
Oh yeah,
on
classic.
Spotify, and we've got a couple of their songs. So it's always funny when we're in the middle of a game and like the enemy combat music starts playing. It's like, I didn't mean for that to play. You guys aren't in combat, but
sorry.
yeah.
That's really fun. And do you have any tips for kind of making your encounters interesting for your players? Like, obviously, I think that adding in the music kind of it creates that sort of tension inside of you, but actually kind of like strategic things that can help people to make it more interesting.
So I had a problem when I was first DMing where I would literally just kind of have like a blank like battle map, just like a grid over like a like a forest backdrop. And excuse me, I realized that one of the things that make it really interesting is having not a blank like map like that,
Yeah.
but having like maybe like a fallen tree or like some like castle ruins or something in the map. It just kind of adds like not only like a depth of things like realistic, making things realistic, but
Yeah.
You're like as you said, like kind of like a strategy. Like for example, in one of our last games, we had like a group of bandits attacking the players or something, and a couple of them were kind of up on this old like kind of like a abandoned tower. So the players had to figure out, not only dealing with the bandits like on the ground level, but how they were going to get up to that tower where the bandits were shooting arrows down at them.
Yeah.
So adding like environmental elements, I think would adds like you said, strategy, and just makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Like I think like like having a player like a enemy like dive behind cover or something.
Yeah.
It kind of adds like a little strategic element to them.
Yeah, playing with elevation certainly seems to be like an interesting feature. So you have to think about it,
Exactly,
especially
elevation.
if there isn't an obvious route kind of like up something or around it. You've got to use the old noggin.
Exactly, and also using obviously the monsters like different special abilities. They're what is that book that had come out that was called something like The Monsters Know What They're Doing? Do you know what
Oh,
I'm talking about?
yeah, but I can't think of the name.
I,
Oh no.
I think it's called something like that. It's called something like The Monsters Know What They're Doing. But that also is really cool because that book kind of goes into detail about like what fighting one of these monsters would be like
Yeah.
and the kind of like mentality that monster would have, and that can really
Yeah, give it a bit more of a personality.
exactly. So it's not like you're just fighting just like generic monster number 50. You're actually
Yeah.
fighting something with its own unique set of abilities. And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
especially for creatures that are a bit more kind of sentient or like higher beings or whatever, I think knowing a little bit
exactly.
more about their backstory, sometimes it can kind of, it's not just you're brutally like fighting them, it's kind of creates more of an emotional, like not attachment to the creature, but there's another thing at play. It's not just battling with the creature.
Exactly.
Yeah. And do you have any kind of tips for any first time DMs? Whether that be kind of like to do with flexibility in their gameplay, how to get good at improvising when your players inevitably don't do what you want them to do?
I think one of my biggest one of the biggest pieces of information that helped me like when I was first starting out was I would spend so long like coming up with like the story and like how it's supposed to flow and things like that. But one of the things that I've learned, like you said, it's always going to go awry. Something's going to happen. So like the
They'll
players
find
aren't
a
going to
way
go down
to
that
screw it
door.
up.
Exactly, always, no matter what. So one of the big things that I learned was to focus more on locations, like to focus more on like what kind of things would this village have, like what kind of what kind of plot hooks, what kind of like interesting people or stores or events could happen in this area, and just have a note, like just notes on, all the different things that could happen in this town, and
Yeah.
the players will write the story themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what I've decided to kind of switch, and it definitely helps my play style a lot, because my game is a lot more it's a lot more sandbox, I think, because I just kind of have like kind of like an open hex map, and just kind
Yeah.
of like exploration. So that helps my game a lot. It's just focusing on locations and encounter tables
Yeah.
and things like that, because if your players, if you're like, hey, why don't you guys go check out this village over here, this might be something really cool over here, and they're like, nah, we're gonna go this way to the forest. Yeah, but because then if they do something like that, you could be like, all right, I'm gonna pull up my forest encounters list or my forest table,
Yeah.
and we can roll on here and see what kind of things they come up with.
Yeah. You could
So
kind of
I
do
think
some
working
reverse psychology on them, be like, oh, look at this over here, when you really want them to go over there.
exactly. Okay, it's like, you guys don't want to go to that village. It sucks. It's really lame.
Yeah, but that one time you did that they would actually go to the village.
Exactly. They're like, you know what, you're right. We'll go that way.
No. So what are your thoughts kind of about soft world building versus hard world building? When you're actually kind of planning your games, how much do you go into the backstory of the campaign that you're creating? Do you know like every little single thing, or do you prefer to have like a bit more of a soft, squishy idea about what it is that's going on?
So the only thing that I really make sure is concrete about like each of my villages and things like that are like the stores, like the things that like the items that they can acquire there. Like if there's if they go into like a fishing village or something, like there would be like a fishing store, like a general store, like things like that.
Yeah.
I like to know like what stores are there, and I also like to know I like to have like a small list of like important NPCs that would be like in that area.
Yeah.
But other than that, I kind of leave it pretty soft, like you were saying. I kind of have it just a general idea of what the village might be like.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is kind of made up on the spot, depending on what they would want to do in that city.
Yeah.
Or that village.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think it can be more fun to be spontaneous as well. Like I personally really like finding like kind of creating all this kind of random stuff, even if it's not going to actually be used in any way. Like I just like the little nitty-gritty details. I think that's partly to do with the cartography. Like I when I'm drawing,
exactly.
I can see all the different places and that kind of thing. But I think definitely when you're actually playing something, that being a bit more flexible is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I not to say that I don't like coming up with like the little details. I really do enjoy things like that too, but it's happened so many times where like I'll spend hours writing a backstory about something and it never comes up, or that village gets destroyed somehow, or
yeah. Oh no.
Mm.
And what is your favorite D&D creature?
Ooh, my favorite D&D creature, I think the hags.
Okay.
I love the hags so much. I it's just they're so, I guess they're so much fun to play. I think that one of the first times that I had ever used one of the hags was actually from the Curse of Strahd campaign.
Yeah.
Like that one that's in that first little village, the one that's handing out like those little like pies to people.
Yeah.
Like they they think it's just like some old woman, and then later you find out that she's actually part of this coven. And
yeah, a bit like Snow White when she eats the apple or whatever it is.
Exactly. They're so much. They're really fun to role play. Like they're just some sweet old lady, and then kind of creepy a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Then bam.
But, maybe deep inside you're actually an old woman.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, they're probably my favorite. And I actually have a Hag Generator on my website that
Really? I'm gonna have
kind
to
of
look
comes
at
up with
that.
like a yeah, oh yeah, it kind of
It's
comes
really
up with
fun.
like a backstory and a name and like what kind of like creepy items she might have like in her house, and it's
I
that
want
was
to
a lot
find
of
out
fun to
what
make.
hag am I. You could be, it's like a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just find out what hag you are. That's perfect.
I wonder what hag you are. Hmm.
Hmm. I I'm a green hag for sure. Green
Okay.
hag.
Yeah. You go, you green hag. This isn't where I thought the conversation was going.
Me neither, but I like it.
That's okay. And how do you use kind of actively use maps in your campaigns? How does cartography kind of like interact with it? And where do you usually get the maps from?
Sure. Okay. So I like to create a lot of my own maps. I'll use I think Wonder Draft is what it's called.
Yeah.
I use Wonder Draft because I don't have the skills you have, so they make it very easy
Yeah,
to
it's
kind
very,
of generate something quick.
very easy.
So I like using that one a lot. And what I'll do is I'll kind of make I'll make the map, and I'll put like a hex grid over it,
Yeah.
and like in Photoshop or something, and then upload that to Roll20, and I'll kind of have that as like the overworld map. And if a player gets to like or if the players get to like a city or something, I'll bring up like a kind of like an external like city map.
Yeah.
So I do use a lot of maps. I really enjoy using them a lot. But I think one centralized like world map is what I use the most.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And do you ever use kind of like miniatures and stuff like that? I mean, obviously, if you're playing online at the moment, it's difficult to use those kinds of things. But like when you're playing in person.
Yeah, so a friend of mine and my dad with me actually, we built kind of we took an old flat screen TV that we have, and we turned it on its side and built a little box around it, and we put like a little grid on the TV, so I could cast the maps from Roll20 onto this, you know,
Wow.
horizontal TV, and we could put the miniatures on the TV.
That's
So
really
that
fun.
was really cool. We actually played with that a few times, and then the coronavirus, of course, so we kind of had to play virtually. So we've been kind of sticking with Roll20 since then.
Yeah.
And yeah, we use like the little like tokens on Roll20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy using like in-person tokens though. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you ever like do miniature painting and that kind of stuff?
No. I'm really not that good at it. I wish I was. I love looking at all like the painted miniatures, specifically like the Warhammer ones, the people that put like all the crazy little details into
Yeah.
it.
Some of them are
So neat.
incredible,
Oh,
especially
I
like the
know. They're
bigger
so
ones.
cool.
Like I've seen people with
Exactly.
dragons and I'm like, wow, I want a dragon.
Exactly. Or like we have we kind of have a local like tabletop store here in town, and they have so many of the cool like unpainted miniatures, and they'll have like the paints right next to them, and I every time I go in the store I'm like, I could do it. I could get into this right now. And then
Take my
I
money.
exactly, please.
No, I've seen quite a few people that are like have bought their own 3D printers and they're doing like their own miniatures from that, and I think that looks really cool.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine. That'd be so cool to be able to have that ability to like create these little 3D models and then literally have it printed in plastic that day for you. Like
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah, really cool. It's just they're so expensive, and like this, the finding a place to put them. Sometimes I
Oh,
can't even
exactly.
find
All
space
of
to
them.
put my cup.
Exactly. You have to get like a storage unit or like an addition to your house for how
Yeah.
many I would need. So
Well, like it would be cool to have like a whole D&D cartography cave.
oh
That's the
gosh, I
dream.
know. That would be so cool. That's the dream.
And in terms of your like Instagram account, Do you have any kind of like advice for people who are starting to kind of like create their own D&D stuff online? Do you think that social media has changed how you kind of play as a DM, and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So for the advice part of that question, I would say people are looking for D&D content all over the place. I would say that some of the biggest things that I've seen kind of grow really quickly is coming up with like homebrew items, like maybe like magic items or
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that, and especially if you can draw them too,
yeah.
like
There's
that.
one
That's
called the Griffin Saddlebag, and their
Yep,
stuff
that's
is
exactly the one I'm
amazing.
thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's
they
really
are
good.
incredible. They are so cool. Like they have a, I don't know if is it one guy or is it a team of people?
I'm not
The
really
Griffin.
sure, to be honest.
I'm not sure either, but they have a really amazing artist on their team, and then they'll come up with all this really cool like backstory for that item. Um, I think I love doing things like that, or like seeing things like that, people doing that. But one of the biggest advice pieces that I could give is to be consistent.
Yeah,
I've seen so many like Instagram accounts that they start out with like this really cool idea, this really cool premise, but it kind of falls off the radar
yeah,
really quickly. But I would say coming up with like a schedule for like things to for people to expect from your account, and the more consistency, the more that's going to bring people in.
yeah,
So I guess my advice would be to if you really want to do it, to just stick with it. Stick,
yeah,
even you can, because there's going to be slow days, of course, and getting started is really daunting, and it's really
yeah. It's
it
hard
can be
work.
overwhelming. Yeah, it's a lot of work. But if you can find like a rhythm, or like use templates for your post to make them go kind of quicker, but just to be consistent is probably the thing I would say would help you the most.
Yeah. Do you have any like, how do you make the templates for your ones?
Oh, so I do a lot of I do it all in Photoshop. So I kind of have like a collection of different post types, and so when I'm ready to post them, I'll just kind of open up that template file and just type everything in and then save it out, so I don't
Bam,
have to like
bam. Thank you, ma'am.
recreate something every. Yep, exactly.
No, that's
So
really
I don't have to like. I'm sorry.
that's really good that it helps you to like save time.
Oh, exactly. So
Cuts
you don't
out.
have to recreate them every time, and
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
Plus, if you have like sort of a something that looks similar, it's gonna make your account look nice because you kind of have like a style or a theme going. And
Yeah. I love your new logo, by the way. That looks really cool.
oh, thank you so much. He did such an amazing job on that. It's so cool. It reminds me of kind of like an old like heavy metal type logo,
Yeah, yeah.
like a metal band name.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's so neat. Thank you.
Did you find the artist online or did you already know them?
Yeah, no, I actually found him through Instagram.
Okay.
I was looking for I asked, but I found him on my personal Instagram.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of like that kind of music, so I saw him once. I came across his account posting like some metal logos that he had made, and I saw that and I was like, I have to get in on that. That's so cool.
That's really cool. What kind of music do you like?
So I do enjoy metal a lot. I kind of like, exactly. Yep. Classic rock. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Like soundtracks, of course.
Yeah.
I'll listen
Any
to a lot of
favorite
like soundtracks
soundtracks?
when I'm. I do. The Lord of the Rings soundtrack is always going to hold a special place in my heart. I know that's kind of like exactly. It's kind of a an easy answer, but you can't come close to it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
so good.
Yeah. And I love the Skyrim one too. Like, I mean,
Oh, the Skyrim one's incredible too.
yeah. I actually like when I first kind of encountered the game, I tweeted at Jeremy Saul, the guy that did the composure for the soundtrack, and he like responded to me, and I was like, "Wow, I've got
No
I'm
way.
like fangirling."
That is amazing.
Maybe I should try to get him on for a Worldbuilding and Chill interview.
Ooh, yes, that would be amazing.
I don't know how easy he is to contact, but
Exactly. Be like, we've talked before. We know each other basically.
Like 10 years ago, however long it was. And do you have any kind of like favorite Instagrammers in general or YouTubers that you kind of like constantly go to kind of like look at their stuff, other than the Griffin saddlebag?
Yeah. So, of course them. Let's see. Some of my favorite ones. Some of my favorite accounts are kind of like the old school, like art pages where they'll. You actually shared a couple of them the other day that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
What that one that's called? Is it LSOSR?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. It's like
I actually
yeah.
His account is amazing. I've actually had he was my first commissioned art piece too for something I've got coming up kind of later on.
Yeah.
But he is such a nice guy, and his account it's LSOSR, is that's it, right?
I think so, yeah. Off the top of my head, I think that's right.
Yeah, but his account is amazing. I would say that I gain a lot of inspiration from the art accounts, like yours too. I mean, your maps are really amazing, and I've definitely come up with some like kind of ideas from some of the things that you've created. So some of the I really enjoy following the art accounts just because of just the pure inspiration that can come from just scrolling and seeing like a really cool like art image or piece of artwork and all the ideas that can come from that.
Yeah. Well, yours works the same for me. Like when I see some of your ideas, like the other day you posted one about like humorous books that you could find.
Yeah.
Some of it just really made me chuckle. And I was like, because in my own kind of like personal world that I'm building behind the scenes, there's like the libraries in those places are really big things. And I was like, there's definitely some of these books in those libraries.
Awesome. That's so cool.
It gave me a good chuckle.
Nice. Good.
And do you have any kind of like other hobbies and interests, whether that be related to D&D and world building and that stuff or not?
Sure. So my biggest hobby outside of D&D is I do a lot of I write a lot of music.
Okay.
I play music too. I play like guitar and piano and my favorite bass. And I really like.
I want to play the bass.
Oh, it's amazing, so cool. But I would really love one day to kind of combine the two hobbies and kind of create my own music for for the game.
Like a D&D heavy metal album. That would be awesome.
There we go. Exactly.
I would buy that.
Yeah, gosh, now that would be awesome.
I can come and do some screaming for you, like raw.
There we go. See, we've already got a
band.
Going. We've already got a band. We're done.
Oh, that's really interesting. How long have you been playing all of those instruments? Like your whole life, or is it more of a recent thing?
Well, probably. I started playing guitar in high school, and I found that bass guitar was kind of more my thing. So I definitely moved on to that. I've been playing for probably about 10 years, and just kind of more recently started getting into piano. So that's been a lot of fun, kind of exploring.
Piano's great.
A new instrument.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to. I play the piano, but I haven't got one currently here in the house, and I'm just like burning with desire to buy one.
Exactly. No, you need like a pipe organ, like in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Your background. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's going to be like on my dreams for the future.
Exactly. Just like an authentic pipe organ. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, not really sure where I put it. I'd probably have to like get rid of all the other things that I own, but I think it will be worth it.
It would be worth it.
And kind of my final question for you is, do you have any kind of like dreams for the future of D&D Speak? Do you have any kind of like personal goals relating to D&D, like writing a module, that kind of stuff?
Sure. So I actually do have a my first module in the works, so I'm really excited about that one. I'm excited to. I've been kind of working with a few artists that I've actually found on Instagram to kind of get some art for that. So I'm really excited for that to come out, and it's going to be filled with a lot of D100 lists to kind of change the campaign or the module every time you play it. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that one. But one of the biggest things that I'm really excited about the way the account's going is this thing that I've started called Power Word Charity.
Oh yeah.
It's this thing that I've kind of started that, you know, I sat down and kind of thought about you know, what kind of things that this, you know, the community is getting kind of bigger for that account. So I was wondering, like, you know, what kind of like good things we could do with that. And the last thing that we did, or the very first thing we did actually, was I created this 100 forest encounters PDF, and 100% of the money that came from that went to the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah.
And so on Earth Day, we were able to raise, I think it was a little bit over $350 or something.
Nice.
For that. Yeah, so what I'm planning on doing with that, oh, excuse me. Sorry. So what I'm planning on doing for that is kind of picking a different charity every month and creating like a PDF that, you know, all the money that would go from that would go to that charity that month. So I'm really excited to kind of explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, and it's nice that you can kind of like use your kind of like sway in the community to help give money to really good causes, and that it's kind of like fun for you to create these themed PDFs that the people donate to get something too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so much fun, and you know, I would be doing it anyway, so might as well be doing something good while I'm doing it. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic. Well done, you.
Well, thank you.
Well, I think that's all the questions that I had for you today. And thank you so much for stopping by to chat with me.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. And yeah, I wish you the best with all of your PDF creations and your future module projects.
Thank you.
And yeah, we've got lots more to see from you in the future.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And thank you so much for having me, Eve.
Okay, well, have a nice rest of the day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.